Hello lovely people, welcome back to another interesting sewing tutorial. So in today's tutorial, we want to learn how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful body cone gown that you see on the screen. So if this is something you are interested on, keep watching. Let's start with the skirt part, that is the down part. This is my starting point. I will call it my waistline. I'm drafting both the front and the back pattern together. So this is my zipper allowance for the back. So I'm going to divide my pattern paper into two. So for you to know the width of your pattern paper, you need to measure around your biggest measurement. When you measure around your biggest measurement, for example, hip, so you divide it by 2. For example, if your hip is 40, you divide by 2, which is 20, plus your zipper allowance for the back, that is 22, plus your seam allowance. You can use maybe 25 depending on the seam allowance, or 26 depending on your seam allowance. So the purpose of this tutorial, this part will be my back panel and this part will be my front pattern. This is my center front, this is my side front, and this is my side back, this is my center back. If you can see, so the next thing now will be for me to mark from my waistline to my hip line. The next point will be from my waist to my wrist knee. You can minus 3 or 4 inches from your true knee line. Then you will have your wrist knee. Then I will connect my points. I'll go ahead and name my point. That is my hip line, my wrist knee line. Then the next one will be for me to measure from my waist line to the full length of the skirt. So I will mark it down. Then I will go ahead and connect my points. Can you see? So for you to draft your skirt, you need to minus your upper bodice. So my half length is 17 inches for the front. So I need to minus the 17 inches from my full length. I have a full length of 58 inches. So when I minus my 17 inches, that will give me 41. So that is why my length of the skirt is 41. So now that we have drawn all the vertical measurement, let's go ahead and mark our horizontal measurements. The first thing will be for me to mark my waist measurement, that is the waist circumference divided by 4, plus my darts. Then I will mark them for my front pattern. I'm making use of 1 inch darts, so I added 1 inch to my waist measurement divided by 4. The next thing will be for me to mark my hip measurement divided by 4. I'll mark them for my front pattern. Then I'm going to connect the line, that is from the waist to the hip line for the back, and I'm going to connect it for the front as well. I'll mark the same hip measurement on my waist knee line and also on my full length line. That is my hip measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to connect it with a straight line, as you can see me doing so. I'll do same for my front pattern. Then the next thing will be for me to impute my dart. So I will mark my bust span measurement divided by 2. Then I will come down for my back by 4.5 inches. I will mark the line. Remember, we added 1 inch for the dart, so I'm going to open up my dart by ½ inch on both sides of the line. Can you see? Then I will connect it down. Then coming to the front, I will mark my same bust span measurement. Some people call it nipple to nipple measurement. Divide by 2. Then I will open up my dart by 1 inch, and the length of my dart will still be 4.5. You can decide to make use of 5 inches. For me to tighten the down part, for me to have a pencil skirt, I'm going to minus 1.5 inches from my waist knee line. I will minus them from the full length line. This is basically your preference. You can decide to minus 2 inches or 2.5. It all depends on how tight you want the down part of the gown to be. Then I'll connect it to my hip line. Then the next thing will be for me to go ahead and mark for my back pattern. For the back pattern, I'm going to divide the 1.5 inches into 2. Then I will mark on both sides of my back pattern, that is 0.75 on both sides, as I am doing so. Can you see? I'll go ahead and connect the points. Can you see with a straight line? Then I will connect it to my hip line. So to shape the waistline for the skirt part so that the zipper will not bulge out, we are going to minus 0.75. Then I'll connect it to the hip line. I'll do the same thing when I'm drafting my upper bodice. This will help it to balance the zipper well. Then I'll go ahead and mark my zipper allowance starting from the 0.75 point. Then I'll mark it all the way down. Remember that my zipper allowance is starting from 0.75 point as well. Can you see? So I'll go ahead now and connect my points. So I'll go ahead and add my joining allowance for the back part. That is the allowance for me to join to the upper bodice. I will connect it. Can you see it? The next thing will be for me to add my side seam allowance. So I'm going to make use of 1.5 inches. You can decide to make use of 2 inches or less. It depends on what you want. So I will add for my front and for my back pattern, as you can see me doing so. Then I will go ahead and add it all the way to the down part. Then I'll connect my points. I have so many lines here, so I will go ahead and shade my seam allowance so that it will be visible. So the shading part is my seam allowance for both the front and the back patterns. Can you see? So the shading part is my seam allowance for the front, and the shading part here is my seam allowance for the back. So what I will do next will be for me to add my hemming allowance. I'm going to make use of 2 inches. We'll extend it, then I'll go ahead and cut it. So this is my pattern set. This is my front and this is my back. For the front, I'm going to cut it on 4. While the back, I'm going to cut 2 pieces. And for the front, I'm going to add my joining allowance to the upper bodice, while I've added already for the back. So now let's draft the upper bodice. For the upper bodice, this is my pattern paper, and my pattern paper is on 4. I'm going ahead to done some of my markings. This is my shoulder line, my chest line, my bust line, and my waist line. And also I have drawn my neck measurement. I made use of 4 inches neck width and 4 inches neck depth, and I slope my shoulder by 1 inch. Then I draw a straight line to my chest line. So the next thing will be for me to include my armhole cuff, and to do that I'm going to mark my bust measurement, divide by 4, that is the bust circumference, divide by 4 on my chest line. Then on the straight line that connects my shoulder slope to the chest line, I'm going to mark half of that line. Then I'm coming by half of an inch. I'll go ahead and curve my armhole line. Can you see? I will mark my same bust measurement, divide by 4 on my bust line, and I will mark my waist measurement, divide by 4 plus 1 inch dart on my waistline. I'll connect the points. The next thing will be for me to impute my dart. I will mark my bust span measurement, divide by 2 on my waistline and also on my bust line. Then I will connect to form a straight line. I will open up my dart by 1 inch, that is half inch on both sides of the line. I'll connect it to my bust point. Can you see? Then I will impute my bust dart of 1.5, which is the difference between my front and my back waistline. The next thing will be for me to add my joining allowance. That is the allowance that I will use to join to the skirt part. I'm making use of 1 inch. Then my side seam allowance of 2 inches. Can you see? So I will connect my points. Then I'm going to add my sleeve joining allowance of 0.25. You can decide to add 0.5. It all depends on your preference. Then I'll go ahead and add my shoulder joining allowance of 0.5 inch. I'll connect the line. To achieve the part that carries ankara on the upper bodice, I will come to my site. I will mark 3.5 inches. I'll mark same on the center and I'll mark same at this point as well. Then I'll come to my center front. I'm going to mark, starting from my bust line, I will mark 2.5 inches. So I will connect a straight line on this other part that I marked 3.5. Then I'm going to curve it, as you can see me doing so. From this, my dart leg, I will curve it to my center front, the 2.5 points. You can decide to use your curve roller or you can decide to use your freehand. Can you see? So I'm going to blend these other points as well so that I will not have a sharp point. And that is it. The next thing now will be for me to go ahead and cut my pattern. So this is my pattern after cutting it. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and use it to cut on my fabric. This is the part that I'm cutting with the ankara. I'm going to add my joining allowance. You can decide to use 0.5 inch or 1 inch joining allowance. And this is the part for my crepe fabric, that is the black. And I will add joining allowance as well. Now let's draft the back. So on my pattern paper, I've marked down my vertical measurement. Can you see? The first one is my zipper allowance. Then my shoulder line, my chest line, and my bust line. Then my waist line. Then I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement, divide by 2, starting from where my zipper allowance ends. Can you see? Then I'm going to mark my neck measurement. Remember, we make use of 4 inches neck width for the front, so we are using the same for the back. And for the back, I'm making use of 1 inch neck depth. Can you see? Then the next thing will be for me to slope my shoulder. The back, I'm going to make use of 1/2 inch. Then I'll connect it to my neck width. Then I'll come to the chest line. I will mark my bust measurement, divide by 4. Can you see? I will connect it to the shoulder slope. Then I will mark half of that line. I'm going to mark my bust measurement, divide by 4 again. Then on the straight line, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch at the center. Then I will connect my armhole cuff. Can you see? Then the next thing will be for me to impute my bust measurement, divide by 4, and also my waist measurement, divide by 4. Then I'll connect my points. I will mark my dart. The waistline, I will mark half of my bust span measurement, and on the chest line, I will mark seam. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch from the chest line. Then I'll connect a straight line. I'm going to open up my darts by 1 inch. That is ½ inch on both sides. I will plot my darts. Can you see? The next thing will be for me to shape the waistline for the back. I will mark 0.75 from the center back. I'll connect it to my neck dip. Then I'm going to replot my zipper allowance, and I'm making use of 1.5 inches zipper allowance. I will connect it. Can you see? So I will come down to my waistline again. I will come up by ½ inch. Then I'll connect it to my dart leg. All this takes care of the zipper ball again. Then I'll go ahead and cut my pattern. But to add your joining allowance to the skirt pad, and also your side seam allowance and your shoulder allowance. I will add mine when cutting on the fabric. So our pattern is ready for both the upper bodice and the down part, that is the skirt part. So watch out for the sewing aspect of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so that when I upload new tutorial, you'll be notified. Bye bye.